Hello, everyone. Welcome to IEP Basics. We're going to do a four-part series, and this is going to be part one of four parts. So, a little bit about me, the voice you hear in the background. My name is Christine Vaccaro, and I'm a family navigator with the St. Louis Arc. I bring with me 10 years of professional experience and 20 years of personal experience in obtaining and maintaining successful IEPs. The first of our four parts is going to be requesting the initial evaluation and what to expect. So we're going to kind of start from point A and go all the way to the end by the end of our fourth part. We're also eventually going to cover evaluation when it's completed, what comes next, and how to build your IEP team. What do you do when the IEP isn't working? And then finally, how to involve your child and make sure transition IEPs are planned according to your child's needs. So let's dive into part one, how to request that initial evaluation and what to expect. Okay, what do you do when your child's struggling? When you see your child coming home from school and they're telling you it's hard, they don't understand, or you're getting those emails and notes sent home from the teacher, what's your first step? We're going to look at how you request an evaluation. There's a form you can use, and I'm going to pull it up here. And any of these links that I show throughout the presentation, you can request a handout at the end. I'll let you know how to do that so you can have these templates to use for yourself. So when you request an IEP evaluation, you really want to follow this template if possible or close to it because you're asking for an official document to start a kind of timeline for the school and for yourself on how things need to be completed. So this is a simple template on how to request an IEP. You want to have your name, address, phone number, and email, the date, the principal's name, and that's who we're going to send it to, the school name and school address. For your subject, put in there that you just want to request an evaluation for your child and their name. And then, dear principal, it's going to take you through step by step. You're going to request an evaluation. You're going to say what grade and what school they attend, and that you believe that they're struggling, whether it's academically, socially, whatever the struggle is, and that you suspect that there's a disability. Put some specifics in there, what your exact concerns are, if you've noticed a struggle with a certain subject or a certain transition time. Be specific, but keep it brief. And then you also want to add in there that you understand that the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is IDEA, and your child's name gives them entitlement to that free and appropriate public education. Officially request that comprehensive evaluation, and then a way to contact you up above at school's earliest convenience, and sign your name. Send that in an email. Everything you do with the school, especially concerning an IEP process, you want to make sure you put it in writing. And the easiest way to keep track of everything is by sending everything in an email. So our key takeaways are: be specific, keep it concise, include relevant details, state your request clearly, make sure there's no misunderstanding that you are requesting a special education evaluation. Always keep a copy for your records. Follow up if you don't hear back within a reasonable time frame, and I would give a good week before you expect somebody to get back to you. And from here on out, document everything. Anytime you have a communication with the school, dates, times, who you talked to, and a little bit about what the conversation was about, or request that they contact you by email. So like I said, you easily have those things to follow up on. Okay, so now that we requested an evaluation officially, that starts a timeline. And because an IEP is an actual federal document, schools have a certain timeline they must follow. This handout just kind of breaks it down into key time frames. So you're going to send that written referral for the evaluation. Within 30 calendar days, the district has to gather information and decide if they are going to do an evaluation or not. So they'll either give you what's called a notice of action proposed, intent to evaluate, and that means they want to get together and start the evaluation process, or they're going to give you a notice of action refused that says that they don't feel that there's sufficient need for a process. Once you get that action for intent to evaluate, you're going to have a meeting, and we're going to get to what that looks like in our next slide. But basically, from that meeting, you're going to determine with the team of school officials what needs to be evaluated. After that meeting, the school has 60 calendar days to make sure that all those evaluations are done. Once that time has passed, then they have 30 days to determine if the child qualifies through those evaluations for an IEP. When you have that meeting to determine eligibility, they'll go over all the results, and then they typically implement an IEP as soon as possible after that meeting, so maybe up to a week. Once a year, you have to have an annual IEP meeting to review the IEP and make sure the goals are still relevant to your child. And once every 3 years, if needed, you can request, or the district can request, a re-evaluation. And like I said, that's a lot of information, but if you refer to this handout, it makes it pretty easy to follow. Okay, so we requested an evaluation. We know the basic timeline now. We talked about creating that paper trail, everything in writing. Then we're going to have what's called a review of existing data meeting. Sometimes schools will refer to it as a RED meeting. I've included here a form that walks you through what's going to happen at that meeting. They're going to get together, the school officials and then yourself, and you're going to determine what areas need to be evaluated. And it may be all areas, or it may only be one or two. So this is just basic information. They'll cover the date, things like that. And if it's an initial evaluation, they will have the people listed that attend the meeting. Then they're going to get into the areas that can be evaluated. You can do vision, hearing, health and motor skills, speech, language, intellectual and cognitive. Those are where you find like your IQ tests, things like that. Adaptive behavior. How are they with independent skills? Things like that. Social, emotional, behavioral, if there's any concerns there. And academic achievement. So this looks at specific skills such as reading, math, things like that. And if they're over 16 or older, they'll talk about transition services. They can look at assistive technology if your child needs a communication device, things like that. And that's each area they can evaluate in. So the team will determine all together, and you're part of that team, if there needs to be an evaluation in any particular category. So now that you've had that meeting, that is when we get 60 days for the school to do all the evaluations that you've decided during that review of existing data meeting. So the evaluations begin. Patience is key. There's no need to reach out to the school weekly to see how things are going. Give them their 60 days. Sometimes it's done sooner, but let school have the time to make sure they're getting appropriate and accurate evaluations. That concludes part 1. So if you would like handouts that I pulled up today, please feel free to reach out. You can email handout requests at slark.org. Or if you want help with the whole process, you can reach out to a family navigator at the ARC by going to our website and clicking About Us and Contact Us. Fill out a short form, and our intake specialist will get right back to you and set you up with a navigator to walk you through this whole process.